up, nerds? My name is Leslie Smith, and welcome to the Nerdy Narrative. On today's episode of Bookish Related Fun, I'm going to try my hand at the Moody Book Tag, whose original creator is Brittany from Slanted Spines. I will, of course, have Brittany's version of this tag linked in the description box down below, so you can definitely go by and check her out. I've seen this tag making the rounds lately, and I have just absolutely enjoyed watching everybody who's done it so far, and I decided I was just going to tag myself because, you know, why not? Question number 1. Do you consider yourself a mood reader? Not at all, unless I'm one of those that I'm always in the mood to read. I get moody if I don't get to read enough. Does that count as a yes? I literally get up, make my first cup of coffee, and read. That's usually when I'll read whatever comic or manga I'm working on, and I'll read that for about half an hour, and then I'll pick up one of my other reads and read for an hour, and then I get started on my day. And then once I get done with everything that I have to get done for the day, I usually make another cup of coffee and I sit down with another book for a couple of hours, and then I'll break to feed and walk Milo and Bandit, and then cook supper for Chris, shower, and then I'm back at it with another book. So I'm always in the mood to read. Question number 2. Do you set TBR lists and do you stick to them? I absolutely set TBR lists, and I do a pretty good job of sticking to them. If I put it on the list, it is generally going to get read. What I'm bad about doing is adding to my TBR list during the month, which can sometimes lead to somebody getting left off and falling by the wayside. But I try really hard lately to only put books on my TBR that I know that I can read, and I try to not set as many so that I can add at least 1 or 2. Question number 3. Do books affect you emotionally? Does the mood of a book rub off on you? Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything that happens in the book, I feel it. I absolutely feel everything practically that character is feeling. Battle scenes, violent scenes will definitely have my fight or flight fear kicked in. My heart will be just pounding, blood is racing. I will feel relief. There was a section in a book where a character is trying to start a movement, a revolution, and it's basically undercover. And there was a point where he finally revealed himself to another character, and just his relief at being able to share that load, I mean, I felt it right there with him. I seem to be able to feel whatever the characters feel, which is great, but on the other side of that coin, it's not, because when the series is over, said and done, no more books are going to be in that series, I am really, really depressed and upset because that world is over, which is probably why I'm such a huge rereader, so I can go back and visit my friends. Question number 4. When you're feeling sad, what do you read? Or do you not read when you're sad? And I absolutely do read when I'm sad, and I just take my pick. I usually have 5 to 6 different things going at a time. I almost always have a comic or a manga that I'm reading. I almost always have at least 1 horror, 1 fantasy, and 1 sci-fi, and a classic going. You know, and just depending on whichever one strikes my fancy the most as to where I am in the story, how much I want to know what happens next, I just pick one. You know, fortunately for me, being sad isn't an emotion that I spend a whole lot of time with, so I don't have to worry about it. Question number 5. Most often, do you use reading to escape, to learn, or to critically reflect? Reading these days for me is strictly pure enjoyment. Now, as a child, teenager, young adult, there was a huge percentage of it that was escape. A lot of enjoyment as well. I mean, I picked stuff that I liked to read and enjoyed spending my time in, but it was definitely more of an escape than it is now. These days, it is 100% enjoyment. Question number 6. What is a book that made you laugh out loud? Oh gosh, So I can think of 3 right off the top of my head that I have had in the last year and a half. That's going to be The Martian by Andy Weir, Words of Radiance, which is the 2nd book in the Stormlight Archives by Brandon Sanderson, and most recently, Motherless Brooklyn by Jonathan Lethem. Prompt number 7. What is a book that has made you cry? Or if you don't cry, one that has really moved you? Oh, I cry. I ugly cry. I'm trying to think of the most recent book that I have read that made me cry. The one that comes to mind as being the most recent one that actually caused water to leak out of my eyes, that's going to be Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, which is book 2 of the Red Rising series. The one book that stands out in my mind as being the one that made me cry the most over the last 5 to 10 years, that is Ruin by John Gwynne. It lived up to its name. Question number 8. What is a book that you didn't even know how you felt about? I don't even know how I feel about that question. Like, what is it asking? How do I answer that? I didn't know how to feel about a book. I guess that would also be Golden Sun by Pierce Brown. Normally, I can tell you pretty early on in a book how I'm going to rate it. And I mean, as soon as I get done, I rate it instantly. But that one, I actually had to think about it a few days and talk about it with several of my bookish friends who read it and just kind of get some other perspectives and get some things straightened out about what I thought. So I guess that would have to be Golden Sun. Question number 9. Are you more likely to read on a sunny day or a cloudy day? I read every day. Every day. And if there's a day that goes by where I don't get to read enough for me, I start getting really anxious. Really anxious. Case in point, my brother Daniel is here this week with his family to hit up Disney World. So they called me up and they're like, hey, we're coming these dates. These are the parks we're going to go to. We'd love to have you come hang out. So it worked out that I got to go hang out with them at Animal Kingdom yesterday. And they wanted to do rope drop. So I had to get up early and get ready, take care of Milo and Bandit, and then pop over to Animal Kingdom. You know, we had a ton of fun. It was a very cloudy day, lots of rain in the forecast, so not many people showed up to the parks. We were getting to almost walk right onto rides. It was fantastic. We're on the last ride before we're going to go have lunch. And I was already planning to duck out after lunch so I could read. We're at the back of the park doing the Kilimanjaro Safari. The bottom falls out. It is raining its tail off. And that's when I found out that my jacket was water resistant, not waterproof, for one thing. And then I realized that I forgot to see which parking lot and row I parked in when I got out of my car, because I immediately called Daniel to see where they were in the park. Totally forgot to remember. I did tell Siri, I'm like, hey, remember where I parked? Well, she failed me, and I'm trying to read the map of where I parked in the pouring rain. So I had to call my brother to come back and get me because we were going to a different resort to eat. So I'm like, Daniel, can you come back and get me? So we went and ate, and then he brought me back to the car, and I got home so dang late. I didn't get home till like 5 something. I was like, man, I need to read a book. And the final question, number 11, can you leap from book to book, or do you need buffer time in between? Like I mentioned earlier, I usually have anywhere up to 6 different things going at a time. Even so, if I finish one, I am likely to go ahead and start something else as well. So I constantly have something going. So absolutely yes, I am a leaper. I cannot wait to start my next read. That takes care of all of the questions for the Moody Book Tag. I thought it was a really cute tag. Like I said, I've seen it making its way around BookTube. I'm not sure who all has done it yet, but if you see this and you haven't done it, but you want to do it, tag your it. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you on the next one.